Have you ever walked outside and noticed that your garden feels a little ordinary? Maybe the flowers are pretty, but something's missing. A little bit of creativity, a spark of magic to really make it pop. If you've been thinking of ways to add something unique to your garden, I've got an exciting idea for you today. What if you could turn some of the things you might have tossed out into beautiful, one-of-a-kind garden art? It's an idea that's not only fun but also budget-friendly. And the best part? You don't need to be a professional artist or spend a fortune to bring some personality to your garden. This isn't just about gardening. It's about turning trash into treasure, creating art out of everyday items that others might overlook. It's about giving old things a second chance while making your outdoor space something truly special. Before we dive into the fun details, I want you to think for a moment. How many items do you have sitting around your home or garage that are just gathering dust? Maybe an old tin can, a broken chair, or some worn-out garden tools. What if I told you that, with a little creativity and effort, these things could become the most eye-catching pieces in your garden? You see, when we think about upcycling, it's not just about saving money or being eco-friendly, although both of those things are great. It's also about making something that's uniquely yours, something that tells a story, something that has a past but can still have a future. That's the beauty of upcycling. And this video is going to show you how. I'll walk you through some simple, yet amazing ways to transform items you already have at home into stunning garden art. Whether you're looking to create a whimsical fairy garden, add a pop of color with sculptures, or simply give your space a little more charm, we're going to cover it all. Before we jump into the fun part, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on more gardening tips and wellness advice tailored just for you. Let's get into it. Now, let's start with something simple but super effective. Transforming old tin cans into vibrant garden planters. You know those empty cans that pile up in your kitchen? It's so easy to toss them, but why not give them a second life instead? To begin, you'll need a few cans, soup cans, coffee cans, or anything you've got. The first thing you want to do is clean them out, of course. A good rinse to remove any leftover food and a wipe with a cloth will do the trick. Once they're dry, you can get creative. Paint them with your favorite colors, or even use patterned duct tape for a more textured look. If you want to go one step further, you can add designs like flowers, birds, or even a fun, funky pattern. Here's a pro tip. Before you paint, poke a couple of small holes in the bottom of the can. This is crucial for drainage, so your plants don't end up sitting in water. Once that's done, fill your cans with soil and plant some colorful flowers or herbs. You'll be amazed at how something so simple can completely transform your garden space. Not only will you be repurposing old cans, but you'll also add a pop of color and charm that'll make your garden feel more lively. And don't stop there. There are endless possibilities with tin cans. You can hang them from a tree, turn them into a tiered planter, or even attach them to a wooden pallet for a rustic garden wall. The key is to think outside the box and let your imagination run wild. Alright, now that we've covered the tin cans, let's talk about something a little more unusual, but equally fun. Turning old garden tools into quirky sculptures. If you've been gardening for a while, you probably have a few worn-out tools lying around, rusty shovels, old rakes, or even broken spades. Instead of throwing them away, why not give them new life as art? Picture this, an old rake turned into the frame for a stunning garden mirror, or a rusty shovel used to create a striking plant stand. The beauty of using old tools is that they already have character. The wear and tear on them adds a layer of history and charm that can't be replicated. You can combine different tools to create a unique sculpture. Imagine a garden creature made from a broken hoe, an old pair of scissors, and a couple of spoons. It might sound a bit wild, but the results are truly one of a kind. To make these tools into sculptures, you can start by cleaning them up. No need for perfection here, as a little rust can actually add character. Then, depending on what you're trying to create, you can use a little welding or strong adhesive to attach the pieces together. If you're not sure about welding, no worries. You can always ask around to see if there's a local workshop that can help you out. Sometimes even just drilling holes and attaching the tools with screws can work wonders. What I love about turning old tools into art is how it gives your garden personality. It's a great conversation starter, and each piece will be a testament to your creativity and resourcefulness. You're not just recycling old tools, you're telling a story, and that's something truly special. Now that we've covered two super simple upcycling projects, I want to leave you with one more tip before we wrap up this section. Keep an eye out for materials that others might see as garbage but can be turned into something magical with just a little imagination. Old wooden pallets, for example, are often tossed aside, but they can become beautiful garden furniture, raised beds, or even a stunning backdrop for your plantings. Old wine bottles can become lanterns, and worn-out tires can be transformed into playful planters. The possibilities are endless. So let your creativity take the lead and start seeing potential where others see trash. You'll be amazed at what you can create with just a little effort and a lot of imagination. And don't worry if you've never tried this before. There's no right or wrong way to upcycle. It's all about having fun and making something that feels good to you. Now that we've covered upcycling tin cans and garden tools, let's move on to some more ideas in the next part of the video. Now that we've covered turning tin cans and garden tools into garden treasures, let's move on to another exciting project. Upcycling old furniture. You know, those chairs, tables, or benches that have seen better days but still have so much potential. They're just waiting to be transformed into something beautiful for your garden. Take a moment and think about an old wooden chair you might have tucked away in the garage or a garden bench that started to look a little weathered. These pieces might not be suitable for inside the house anymore, but with a little creativity, they can become a stunning focal point in your outdoor space. Whether it's a chair that becomes a plant stand or a weather table that gets a new coat of paint to become a colorful outdoor coffee table, these furniture pieces are gold mines for upcycling. Start by giving the piece a good cleaning. If it's wooden, sand it down to remove any rough spots or old paint. Once you've cleaned it up, you can give it a fresh coat of outdoor paint. Don't be afraid to go bold with the colors. Bright reds, deep blues, or even soft pastels can add a vibrant touch to your garden. If you're feeling adventurous, you can even use stencils to add fun designs, or paint a design freehand for a more artistic look. For those of you who love to garden, think about how you can repurpose a chair into a multi-level plant stand. Take an old wooden chair and remove the seat. Then, you can stack several plant pots on top of each other, giving the illusion of a living sculpture. Add some trailing plants, and you've got yourself a charming piece of garden art that's functional and beautiful at the same time. Another option is to turn an old chair into a hanging garden pot holder. Remove the legs, attach the back of the chair to a wall or fence, and hang several flower pots from the remaining structure. It's a quirky, fun way to add layers of color to your garden. Now, let's talk about one of my favorite projects, turning old glass bottles into garden lanterns. If you've been saving wine bottles, mason jars, or even old perfume bottles, this is the perfect project for you. Glass has a way of catching light beautifully, and when used creatively, it can create an enchanting atmosphere in your garden. Plus, it's a great way to recycle items that would otherwise be tossed out. Here's a simple way to do it. Take an empty glass bottle and clean it out. If you're using a wine bottle, you can keep the cork in place, or you can drill a hole in the bottom of the bottle to insert a string of fairy lights. If you're using a mason jar, you can place a candle inside. When the lights shine through the glass, they'll create a soft, inviting glow that makes your garden feel magical, especially in the evening. If you want to take it a step further, you can hang these glass lanterns from tree branches using twine or ribbon to create a whimsical light display. Now, if you have a collection of smaller glass jars, you can make a beautiful arrangement by placing them together in a cluster. Add some colored glass stones or sand at the bottom for extra visual appeal. These lanterns don't just provide light, they become a statement piece in your garden, giving it a cozy and romantic vibe. Another exciting idea is to use old wooden doors or shutters to create an upcycled garden divider. If you have a spare wooden door lying around, you can lean it against a wall or fence to create a vintage-inspired focal point. You can even turn it into a vertical garden by attaching small plant pots to it, or perhaps some hooks where you can hang small gardening tools or decorative items. Old shutters work wonderfully for this too, and they can help define different sections of your garden or patio while adding a rustic charm. It's amazing how something as simple as a door or shutter can make such a big impact. Just by adding a coat of paint or attaching a few plants, you'll breathe new life into something that might have otherwise been forgotten. And speaking of forgotten items, let's talk about turning old tires into something fantastic for your garden. Tires are often discarded, but they can be one of the most creative upcycling projects out there. With a little bit of paint and some imagination, you can turn these old rubber rings into colorful, unique garden planters. Start by stacking a few tires together to create a taller planter or by arranging them in a circular shape for a more whimsical, flower-filled display. You can paint the tires in bright colors, maybe a fun mix of pinks, yellows, and greens, or you can go for a more subdued, natural look with earthy tones like terracotta or olive green. To make them more visually interesting, try layering the tires in different sizes to create a tiered effect. Fill them with soil and plant your favorite flowers or herbs. The possibilities are endless. What's great about using tires is that they're durable and can withstand the outdoor elements, so they'll last for years in your garden. Plus, they're a wonderful way to make a statement piece out of what would otherwise be an eyesore. Now that we've covered turning furniture, glass bottles, doors, and tires into garden gems, let's take a moment to think about another type of material that you may have lying around: scrap metal. If you have any old metal parts, such as nuts, bolts, or wires, you can create a range of garden art, from sculptures to wind chimes. Scrap metal can be a bit tricky to work with, but with a little patience and some basic tools, it can transform into something truly beautiful. One of my favorite ways to use scrap metal is by creating a garden sculpture. You could make a whimsical metal butterfly, a flower, or even a fun animal shape like a bird or frog. By welding or twisting the metal pieces together, you can create something truly unique and personal. If welding sounds too advanced, you can start by making small projects like wind chimes. String together different metal objects, such as spoons, old keys, or pieces of chain, and hang them from a wooden or metal rod. When the wind blows, they'll create a lovely tinkling sound, adding an auditory element to your garden art. These types of projects can be a little more involved, but they're also incredibly rewarding. And as you add your creations to your garden, you'll notice that they're not just decoration. They're a reflection of your creativity and resourcefulness. Now that we've covered several amazing ways to upcycle furniture, glass, tires, and scrap metal into garden art, I'm sure you're already thinking of some things around your house that could be transformed into garden treasures. Before we move on to the next part of this journey, I encourage you to take a walk around your home and garden. Look at all the old, forgotten items that might have potential for transformation. You'd be surprised how much beauty and creativity can come from things that others might see as trash. Next, we'll dive into more creative upcycling ideas, including turning old books and CDs into beautiful garden art. Stay tuned. There's so much more upcycling magic ahead. Now that we've covered transforming old furniture, glass bottles, tires, and scrap metal into garden masterpieces, let's dive into some more fun, quirky projects to really bring your garden to life. We've explored some fantastic ways to make your outdoor space unique, but there's still so much more you can do, using things that might just be sitting around, waiting to be given a second chance. Let's start with something I know many of us have lying around the house: old books. If you love reading and have a collection of worn-out books that are just gathering dust, don't toss them out just yet. They can make incredible garden art. Imagine turning a pile of forgotten novels into something beautiful and creative for your garden. One fun idea is to create a book planter. Take a few old hardcover books, stack them, and cut out the center of each one. You'll want to make sure you leave the covers intact to maintain the book's character. Once you've hollowed out the centers, place a small plastic container inside, then fill it with soil and your favorite flowers. You now have a charming little book garden that's bound to be a conversation starter. If you're feeling even more creative, you can use the pages of old books to make paper flowers. It's easier than it sounds. Simply fold and shape the pages to create petals, then glue them together to form a flower. You can attach these paper blooms to branches or sticks, then place them around your garden to add a whimsical touch. They'll look just like fresh flowers, but with a vintage literary twist. For those of you who love the idea of upcycling but aren't quite ready to dive into DIY projects that require tools or painting, this is an easy way to add some art to your garden using materials that you already have on hand. Next, let's talk about turning old CDs into something shiny and sparkly for your garden. If you have a drawer full of old CDs that are no longer useful, it's time to give them new life as garden decor. You can make stunning wind chimes or use them to create a colorful mobile that catches the sunlight. To make a CD wind chime, all you need is a few old CDs, some twine or fishing wire, and a few small decorative items like beads or bells. Simply drill a hole in the center of each CD, then hang them from a sturdy piece of string or wire. The light reflecting off the CDs will create a beautiful, shimmering effect, and the sound of the wind will add an extra element of magic. You can even paint the edges of the CDs with bright colors to make them stand out even more. If you want something a little more artistic, try making a CD mosaic. Break the CDs into smaller pieces and use the shards to create colorful patterns on a wooden or stone surface. It could be a beautiful accent piece in your garden, such as a stepping stone or a decorative sign. Now, here's another idea that's perfect for those of you who enjoy a little bit of whimsy in your garden: upcycling old shoes into planters. It might sound a little unusual, but trust me, it's a fun project that adds a quirky touch to your outdoor space. Whether it's a pair of old boots, sneakers, or even slippers, they all have the potential to become the perfect home for some vibrant plants. Start by giving your shoes a good cleaning. If you're using boots or shoes with fabric on them, be sure they're dry before adding soil. Then fill them with potting mix, and your choice of plants, succulents, flowers, or herbs work particularly well. You can even paint or decorate the shoes to give them a personalized touch. Imagine a row of old boots lined up in your garden, all bursting with beautiful greenery. It's a fun, quirky way to bring a little personality to your outdoor space, and it's a fantastic way to recycle old shoes that would otherwise be thrown away. And speaking of quirky garden additions, let's talk about using old kitchen items for upcycling projects. If you have old colanders, pots, or even teapots that are past their prime for cooking, they can make unique planters or garden art. An old teapot, for example, can be transformed into a whimsical hanging planter by simply adding a chain or twine to the handle and hanging it from a tree branch. Fill it with your favorite flowers and you've got a lovely piece of garden decor that's both functional and charming. Old colanders can be used in a similar way. Turn them upside down and use them as a base for a garden sculpture, or fill them with colorful flowers for a beautiful, airy planter. The holes in the colander allow for excellent drainage, making them perfect for plants that need good airflow around their roots. If you have a collection of these kitchen items, you can create a whole set of quirky, upcycled planters that'll make your garden look like something out of a fairy tale. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ideas today, but there's still one more fun project I want to share with you: using old picture frames to make garden art. If you have some old, weathered frames lying around, this is a great way to add a vintage touch to your garden. You can use the frames to create photo gardens or even as backdrops for your plants. To start, remove the glass from the frame and paint it to match the color scheme of your garden. Then you can hang it on a fence or wall and let your plants grow through it. It's like framing nature itself. The frame will act as a beautiful backdrop, showcasing your flowers or vines in a unique way. If you want, you can even add a small shelf to the bottom of the frame to hold tiny plants, creating a lovely little garden within a frame. This is a perfect example of how upcycling can turn something simple into something extraordinary. With just a little creativity, you can transform old frames into stunning garden art that brings a touch of elegance and charm to your outdoor space. As we wrap up today's video, I want you to remember that upcycling isn't just about giving old things a second chance, it's about finding beauty in the things that others might overlook. Whether it's turning a tin can into a flower pot or a pair of old boots into a garden sculpture, every upcycling project is an opportunity to be creative, resourceful, and have fun with your garden. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about making something that feels good to you, something that adds personality and life to your garden. And most importantly, it's about enjoying the process. There's no right or wrong way to upcycle, it's all about being creative and finding joy in the act of transformation. So, as you take a walk,